Before I get into the brunt of the subject of this little video, I'm gonna... It's an unboxing! I wonder what's in here! Oh, it's exciting. Could be something wrestling related, I think. What do you know? It's what I actually expected, because I sent off for it. Oh my god. Right. After that little escapade of unboxing, so I don't really get unboxing videos, but fair enough, whatever. Yeah, TNA Hardcore Justice. Going into this, hearing about the hype about this, I wasn't interested. I thought it was going to be like something really awful. I just thought it wasn't needed, and yeah, it wasn't needed, not at all. But yeah, I actually made the effort to watch it yesterday, so I'm gonna like just talk a little bit about it and a bit about ECW in general and that really. Hardcore Justice, TNA Hardcore Justice. Well, if TNA Hard Justice didn't sound like a porn movie, well, this takes it up a notch, doesn't it? Hardcore Justice. And yeah, was it hardcore? I don't know if it was really, but I guess they had to call it something because it had guys from the original Federation in it and everything. I didn't see any of the build up to this, but to be honest, I was sickened by what I heard about it. Just like with like all these ECW originals, like thanking Dixie Carter and like just hanging out with Hulk Hogan and whatever. It just sounded wrong to me, very wrong. And Tommy Dreamer making an impassioned speech yet again, and of course like Vince gave them the chance, you know. He may have ended up like doing what he did with like the ECW name and all that, but he still gave them a job and probably gave them more money than they ever got like while they were originally in ECW. And it's quite sad. I can understand why people are pissed off at this pay-per-view for like the aspect of the fact that they already had their chance to say goodbye, and it was good. The One Night Stand pay-per-views were awesome, especially the first one. I mean, the second one was more WWE-ified, but I thought it was still a good show nonetheless. And it was like, and that show was more about like RVD getting his title shot and big title win more than like it was an actual ECW tribute show, and in my opinion anyway. But yeah, and of course like there's the Hardcore Homecoming shows that happened in 2005, and I don't know if like the second one, November Rain, happened a year after or soon after. But yeah, I mean the first Hardcore Homecoming had a nice feel to it. Had Joey Styles on commentary and had like the freeway dance of Funk and Sabu and Shane Douglas. Actually, I've got one of them here. And yeah, it had Sandman versus Raven. That's entertaining stuff. I would liken this Hardcore Justice pay-per-view more to like one of those Hardcore Homecoming shows. More, I would say, more Hardcore Homecoming 2, because that wasn't that memorable and it wasn't that good. But, you know, this had the opportunity to be in front of a big audience, and I guess like what Dixie did is like a nice thing, letting these guys have like a bit of a time to shine. But whether it's nice or not, it doesn't make it right, does it? And that's like the only main problem I have with this. I don't think it was the right thing to do this as a pay-per-view at all. I think if they did it as like a special impact or something, it would have been okay. It would have been something interesting, and I doubt like people would have crapped on it as much as they have if they did that. But they've made it a pay-per-view, and that means that people have had to pay for this, and they don't really know what they're getting themselves in for. You know, half to 3/4 to most of this card are like pretty washed up, but I don't know if washed up's fair to say, but let's just say they can't like go like they used to. Yeah, one of the saddest ones for me was seeing Too Cold Scorpio versus C.W. Anderson. They weren't like the most like washed up and bad wrestlers I've ever seen, but just seeing them like go in there at like probably like 5 steps less than they used to was pretty sad for me, because those are like two, like, well, C.W. Anderson, I really enjoyed his match with Tommy Dreamer in the latter days of ECW, and Too Cold Scorpio was like a pioneer of like high flying lucha libre American wrestling. And yeah, I just don't think he looked very good in there, to be honest. There's some people that still look quite good. Stevie Richards still looked quite good, but it's just a shame his match was boring against PJ Polaco. Just incredible, in other words. Yeah, I think Spike Dudley still looked alright. He looked like for his stick, you know, he could still do it. And that, but yeah, what matches entertained me? Well, I think a lot of what entertained me was like just bits that happened in the matches more than the wrestling. Like Team 3D versus Axel Rotten and Balls Mahoney, or Cojones as he was known. That was a funny way of getting around it. I had some funny stuff with the lightsaber fight, and also Joel Gertner's poem at the beginning was like to do with Lady Gaga and celibacy, and then poking her face was hilarious, I thought. And I'm not one to go for dirty humour a lot of the time, but Joel Gertner's the man, and I like him. And yeah, the gangsters coming out after that was pretty fun, I thought. And especially like the backstage segment with them, where New Jack said he's going to make Jeremy Borash's bitch. That was funny stuff. There goes JB with his like innocent look. I loved that. Yeah, throughout the night there was these awful like segments of TNA wrestlers like looking back on what they remember about ECW, which are like so scripted, most of them. You could just tell, like, just their like awkward pauses between the next words just sounded like awful and scripted. I think like the only guys that didn't really sound as scripted was like Matt Morgan, Jesse Neal and Kazarian, maybe. But then again, that might have been, they may have been scripted too. It was nice to see the people who couldn't make it and that. And a lot of the time it was just really funny, like how they couldn't refer to stuff by the proper names. And I got a bit of a laugh from it. The original Federation, they kept having to say. And yeah, and Joel Gertner almost called Team 3D the Dudleys as well. That's funny. Raven versus Tommy Dreamer, that was a little bit sad. You know, seeing them, Raven kind of like move in slow motion. It had a bit of storytelling to it, so I'd give it that. But actually, before doing this, I saw Dinosaur Avengers review of it, and he gave this match a dud. And like some of the stuff he's saying, like, made that justifiable, because some of it was like needlessly dangerous. You know, Tommy Dreamer like got busted open to fuck way more than he really should have done. than it's worth for this match, I think. And yeah, you know, I still found this match entertaining. At least they like went out there and tried and gave it their all for what they could. So that's one thing. And the main event, because Jerry Lynn injured his back, which is a bloody shame, because I'm pretty sure like that match would have been probably a lot better, was RVD vs Sabu, which was just like quite a fun spot fest really. Sabu wasn't botching as much as he used to, and that's all I can say about it really. There's just some like, you know how their old matches used to be kind of spot fests, but like a faster rate. This is like this similar kind of thing, spot fests, but a bit of slower and stuff. And it was quite an entertaining main event, but nothing really special. Nothing like you'd look back at in like months to come. So overall, I think with this pay-per-view, I'd say I enjoyed it a lot more than like a lot of people did in this community. But still, I don't think it was the right thing to do. I think if they were gonna like do this, they should have like made this like just a special impact or something. Because like to pay for this isn't fair. I mean, I got a kick from some of the nostalgia. Did like ECW. Well, I do like ECW. I like what it stood for and what it meant and stuff. And it took a long time for me to actually be able to view ECW. One of my first memories of it was seeing an interview with Taz in Power Slam magazine in around 1996. And he just sounded like a really fucking tough guy. He was saying like how wrestling's real and should be respected. And I've always respected him for that. And the promotion. God, I'm like the TNA guys now. But yeah. And also like reading stuff about like Raven and like his feud with Sandman, where it like influenced Sandman's kid. It was like chilling stuff just to fucking read about really. And then when I got to like see it like years later, it was great, you know. But yeah, ECW memory should just be like that. They should have left it to rest with like the first One Night Stand really, and the Hardcore Homecoming shows. Yeah, there you go. You know, I guess like Dixie thought it'd be a good idea to like dig it up, like bring some kind of like new interest into TNA hopefully, but doubt it will really. But yeah, there's a few thoughts on Hardcore Justice. I just hope like that is the end of it. I mean, I was glad like they got to like just enjoy themselves or whatever, but it probably wasn't needed as a pay-per-view. That's what I'm gonna say. And I did find some bits of this entertaining, and some bits was a bit like whatever, you know. At least they're like getting a payday and that. Even if it's like just a cheap way for TNA to do a cheap pay-per-view so they can make a profit, which is another story altogether. I think also like I probably enjoyed this as much as like many TNA pay-per-views over the last few years, but that's not saying much really. But yeah, here's some thoughts on Hardcore Justice. Let me know what you think about my thoughts or whatever. Cheers.